Hello, my name is Misty Copeland. I am a principal dancer with American Ballet Theater. I am so honored to be with you this evening. I find it so fitting that I have the privilege to introduce you to four incredible artists. Myself having started a production company, I think that dancers have so many endless possibilities, whether it's directorship or choreography or production. I am just so thrilled to welcome you to this very special evening, Moving Stories, the ABT Film Festival. You are about to see four short films created by my amazing colleagues who are sitting here with me tonight. We will speak with them afterwards to find out what went into making each of these wonderful works. So here we go. Enjoy.
I'm Alexandre Hammoudi. I used to dance for ABT for many years, and I am now a filmmaker. I created TRANSONATA with Skylar, Brandt, and Herman Cornejo. I wanted to explore the idea of two individuals, dancers, partners, away from each other, longing for this moment to be on stage together. And the way I wanted to demonstrate this was through a transcendental experience that the two artists are going through, thinking about each other and feeling each other as if they were one in the same space. This is TRANSONATA. I hope you enjoy our film.
My name is Eric Tamm with American Ballet Theater. I joined the company in January 2007, and I'm in the Corps de Ballet. My short film is entitled Le Très Cortège Rustique, and I'm excited to share it with you. The whole film was inspired by my time in quarantine, so I hope you enjoy. Thanks.
My name is Duncan Lyle, and I have been a dancer with American Ballet Theatre for 8 years. As soon as I got the call back in May from Kevin about creating a film, I knew that I wanted to use the opportunity as a creative outlet for dealing with my own personal feelings of being trapped and feeling isolated because of the lockdown in New York. And I really took that as my jumping off point. The lockdown also afforded me the opportunity to think about how wild it is that when you are living in New York, you share walls with all of these people that you probably don't know, and they lead these lives that you know nothing about, even though you live in such close proximity to them. So eventually I came up with a way of combining these two ideas together, and we created a film that I have called Alone Together, and I hope you enjoy.
My name is Zhongjing Fang. I'm a soloist ballerina with the American Ballet Theater, and I've been dancing with ABT since 2004. This piece called Perception. I use the classical music by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart Piano Concerto No. 21. It's a short dance film to capture the time we're living in today. As ABT celebrating our 80th anniversary, I wanted to contribute our legendary dancers of today's generation and how we cope, recreate, and communicate with each other through this pandemic lifetime. My hope is somehow to inspire people in every corner of this world. I hope you enjoy this film.
Future.
Decisions.
Freedom.
Acceptance.
Hope.
Resilience.
Simplicity.
Solace.
Overcoming.
Fear.
Opportunity.
Perseverance.
Justice.
Doubt.
Humanity.
Hi, my name is Eric Lyle, and I'm a member of the American Ballet Theater Corps de Ballet. I am also a creator of a film in this year's film festival. Tune in tomorrow night to see my film, along with others, in the second installment of Moving Stories. Now, before we move on to tonight's roundtable, I have a quick but heartfelt request. On the side of your screen, you will see a donate button. Click this button, and it will lead you to the ABT Crisis Relief Fund. This fund directly benefits the dancers, rehearsal staff, production crew, musicians, and faculty, who have all suffered a great loss due to the canceled engagements because of COVID. No amount is too small or too big, and we greatly appreciate anything you have to offer. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of this evening.
What an amazing array of films, each so different and poignant for the time. Also just so, I think, representative of who each of these individuals are. So let's jump right into the discussion. So about 2 months ago, Artistic Director of ABT, Kevin McKenzie, asked each of you to make a short film, not necessarily a dance film, but one reflecting the times and changed circumstances in all of our lives. So how did you decide what route to take, what sort of film to make? What stories did you want to tell, or what did you want to convey with your film? Alex, what? Yes, please share just an overview of what motivated you to create this film.
Well, I think we were all pretty much cooked up in our spaces. So when we all I think got a phone call from Kevin, about this film festival, it was like super exciting. I feel like personally it was a bit of a dark time, like kind of cut off from the world and from people, friends, family, and the stage, as it was my last season. And basically, I just wanted to kind of dive in to see what goes on inside the mind of two artists that are trying to kind of visualize themselves in that space together. So that's what I wanted to achieve.
Well, I think that you really did an incredible job, and you clearly chose two incredible artists that have great chemistry. And we'll dive in a little deeper in a moment. But Eric.
For my film, I didn't necessarily have a specific story to tell, but I knew the emotional response that I wanted to get from the viewer. I needed some positivity in my life, and I wanted to help bring that to other people. And even if I can get a small smile, you don't even have to laugh, but if you can smile a little bit and just a distraction from the news feed and all of that, that was a mission accomplished for me.
Well, I definitely think that you conveyed that. There is such a contrast in your film, and I think it was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Okay, Duncan,
So as soon as Kevin called me, I knew immediately that I wanted to use it as a way to deal with my own feelings of like being trapped and feeling isolated from humanity, but also being alone in your apartment in New York all day, every day for months. You sort of realize that you share walls with all of these people that you don't know. And suddenly we were all connected with this weird commonality of staying home all day and doing nothing.
Well, it was unbelievable and powerful and emotional, and we'll get into it. I love the girl power. So ZJ, so tell us about what encouraged you and motivated you.
With creating this dance film, I thought about what's our role today as dancers in the world. In the end of the day, we are all humans. And in a way, this is the first time we're no different than any other human beings to think what's our on our table for tomorrow. And the passion we all have in life. How can we lift one another's spirits to keep on dreaming, to keep on fighting, and to inspire all the other viewers?
I mean, I think that it's important that, we address the fact that artists throughout history have always been at the forefront. So I think that it's just so right on that these films have been created in this time. Alex Hammoudi, I'm going to start with you. I know everyone's going through something and celebrating something or, experiencing loss. And Alex, there's been such a loss for ABT, but such an incredible celebration for you and your career. What made you choose Lincoln Center as your backdrop for this film?
It's the home for us, for ABT dancers. I think the Met, even though we're only there 2 months out of the year, it's home. It always felt like home. To set up the whole thing, it was kind of important to show kind of like a setting and a passage of time. And Lincoln Center at that time felt like, that was it.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been, interesting and difficult also because, you didn't actually get to have a farewell performance and did that at all play into how you approached this film or how you felt about using Lincoln Center as a backdrop?
Absolutely. For me personally, it felt like that was my last performance, even though I'm not on stage and
I love that. Now I need to watch it again with those eyes and that hearing you say that. There was some music also in the beginning of the piece. Was that original music?
No, I mean it's literally like it's kind of like stock music. As I'm saying, I really tried to like take every little bit from everywhere we could find. I wanted something kind of like electronic, cold, metallic, to kind of contrast, the clair de lune.
I feel like the music was definitely like reflective of the mood. The lighting that you selected really gave that sense of isolation. What was the most challenging thing about making this film during the pandemic?
It came out of nowhere a little bit, this project, and then everybody, I'm sure was like super excited to like, I'm sure everybody's ideas were like, let's try to do this, that, and then you start to realize the reality of the restrictions, that you can't, it's not safe, try to do it in an apartment, try to do it in a living room, and just with the depth, it just never works. For everybody, I think it was a bit kind of like scary. So that was one aspect of it that was challenging, but the other aspect that was super challenging was the editing, because I'm familiar with editing, but I'm not by any means an editor. There's very talented people out there that do that really, really well. I had to make the best out of it and try to like figure out how they're going to be here and be there. So
amazing.
I'm so sorry. I forgot to say one thing about the Beethoven. I just want to say that real quick. The reason why I chose that music is because when I was growing up, my grandmother always played that. She's a first piano conservatory graduate. She's much older now. She's at home in France. I haven't seen her in a long time, and it's a bit rough at times. So I just wanted that piece of music because that really reminds me of her.
I think it's really nice for viewers and people listening to hear those small little details that help. Eric. So we have seen Quarantine Week 13, Les Tres Cortège Rustique. I think that what you've done, again, is so different from all of the films today, but also what we will see tomorrow. And in your film, there were mundane day-to-day things that you were doing that you turned into art and really telling a story of your journey in this time. So, I mean, what was the Star Wars connection and nod that made you do that?
Well, I was actually watching the Star Wars movies in chronological order at that time. So that was the nod there. And I just thought it would be a perfect opener because here we are with this almost, it's a movie-like setting we're living in here. You go to the movies to watch stuff like this. You don't experience it yourself.
Why that music? Why that Cortège Rustique and Sylvia? What was that drew you to that?
Well, yes, you hit it on the nose. It lends itself to the garden setting. And so I just kind of ran with that because I wanted to maximize the tools that I had at my fingertips. And
it was so you, and I really appreciated that. So what was the most surprising part of the process of making your film?
This was a one-man operation here in my backyard. And so just trying to make that work without having someone to hold the camera and to get to make all the decisions yourself and really become from start to finish. That was the coolest part about this.
You haven't been back on the stage with ABT for a long time.
Definitely reminiscent of all my times in the Corps de Ballet with all of my friends, dancing Sylvia at the Metropolitan Opera House. The music pulls those emotional responses from us.
Beautiful. Well, you did a great job and welcome back. We've missed you and I'm glad that you could bring some cheer to all of us.
Thank you.
Duncan, I just, again, like I said earlier, I was very impressed by the power that I felt with the dancers that you chose and the fact that you had an all-female cast. What were your intentions there? Was that intentional, all of those things?
Yeah, I mean, I've made ballets like that before, and I always think of it in my head like it's a film, and I always coach to do less. I just told them what I wanted and sort of wrote down what they should be thinking and all of that. And then they sent me a sort of draft shot, and then I sort of made adjustments. On FaceTime, we said, okay, do this a little differently, do this, take longer here, look where your eye focus is.
Well, it's amazing. And I love your approach. I agree with you. It really can translate and carry far. It doesn't have to be over the top, and those nuances really do make a difference. The music, what was the music? It was very intense, and it definitely, I think, helped to tell the story and really set the mood. The music and the lighting. What was that music choice like, and what was it?
I actually wrote it.
I
only wrote it out of sort of necessity. It wasn't because I think I'm some great artist.
You are.
But because it was so specific, and then Emily Wong, a pianist, played it.
What is that process like for you? Have you ever written music before? I know you play piano, and you actually didn't learn that long ago, right?
Yeah, I started teaching myself piano a few years ago, and I've written bits and pieces here and there, but never anything seriously. This is the first, I think, performed piece of music I've ever written.
Amazing. I love that you're bringing all of your creativity to this project, and in this time, I think it's so just necessary, and what so many artists are doing are just finding other ways to create when they can't be so physical. What message did you want the audience to capture, and how successful do you think you were?
I think I tend to be drawn to stories that have complex sort of conundrums in them, in relationships, and they don't necessarily have a right or a wrong response to whatever action that character took. There is no necessarily clear-cut response to it. So yeah, I also kind of like that I'm not trying to shove any kind of message, and that people are going to take away from it.
A stunning piece and very emotional, and you use so many parts of yourself as an artist. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Ziggy, Zhongjing, perception. At the end, you're the only of these films of this first evening that used verbal dialogue at the end. What was behind those two very different ideas of being kind of insular and then being outspoken?
I really want to use this time to have a real communication with the dancers, to really like feel what they're going through with their everyday life. And a way you can tell we chose different spaces such as kitchen, living room, bedroom, and I just wanted to get a sense of what they're really going through. I did choose a very familiar music for this piece, and I asked all the dancers and they were super excited because Herman has told me that it's actually such a special time to hear something you have heard before, and it makes you feel comfort.
You chose Mozart, which is a very iconic piece that we all know from the Ballet Petit Moor.
Anything you do with the music, it looks amazing. So I actually don't know what they're listening with the headphones. So you know how everyone in the world have your favorite music to listen to and make you feel comfort. And that's why I choose in the end of the piece to take off their headphones. And I said, why don't you guys just to use one word to represent what's your perception? Every time when I watched that part, I had goosebumps and tears.
I mean, the whole thing was so beautiful and stunning, and it was nice to see you in it to kind of round out everything. And you were standing in front of Mount Sinai Hospital with very powerful words behind you, heroes work here. How is that connected to the other messaging that you portrayed in the film?
Actually, that hospital is right next by where we live. So during that pandemic, the first 3 months, every night at 7 o'clock, we actually hear people clapping outside of the hospital. And every time when I walk past by, I can see Hero Works Here. At first, I wanted to just film Heroes Works Here, but when I see the film, I thought something is missing. I had to do something. So I have decided to use myself to dance in front of the hospital. A few feet from the hospital, from the frame, there are 3 refrigerator trucks. So it's just very saddening and risky and nerve-wracking. But at the same time, that made me realize that was a very important little moment that I had to put myself in there.
You guys probably wouldn't say it, but dancers are heroes and superheroes in our own way, and the way that people see us and view us and need that escape and that beauty and that art. So I love that direct correlation. What was an important lesson you had to learn that you felt had a positive effect on your film?
As a choreographer, I'm more curious on what the viewers and audience thoughts are on watching this film. So I can't wait to get response from our audience. And the beauty of this piece is that it's definitely gave different perceptions to each individual. I want to channel that personal perception to everyone who's watching this piece, and that is my goal.
But is this something that you see as just being able to use your art and curiosity and stay motivated and artistic in this time, or is this something that you see doing more of in the future?
Well, yeah, I mean that's what I want to do. That's what I'm doing. I've tried to kind of like educate myself and get my feet wet for the past 2 years. So I wanted to do something with dance and film and bridge that world. But yes, the pictures in movement is where I want to be.
Eric, Is this something that you see in your future?
Definitely something that I can see in the future, and I actually think it's in ballet's future, and that I definitely think it's bigger than all of us here.
I love that. I think that I absolutely agree. You know, I think that there's no way that we're going to come out of this having the same idea of what theater even means. What's in the future for you?
So I never thought that I would get the chance to ever make a film. And I really loved it. I loved it a lot. So I hope that it's something that can happen again. Absolutely.
Zhongjing, is this something that you see in your future? Do you want to make more film, or is this just a fun artistic project for you in this time?
Watching all these dance films just made me realize how powerful those films are.
I mean, I think that it's so important that we have some type of record. I know ABT in particular, you know, in this time, I think it's very kind of revealing that we don't have a lot of kind of stock footage and videos that we can be showing in this time. And so I feel like it's really powerful that there's a whole generation that are looking to people like yourselves to be able to follow in your footsteps and hopefully create a different way that we can get art and ballet to more people all over the world. What was this process like getting started? Was it difficult to get started, or was it difficult to keep going? Was there a time when you just had to like step back and take a moment? I know you guys were on a timeline. I know that you guys had like a date that things were due, right? So what was that process like?
I mean, I think once it was a green light, once it was a go, and then once you have everything in the can, and you have to start editing and you have to sort out everything, and that's when the storm kind of starts. That was what was more challenging for me.
Eric, what was this process like for you? Was it hard to get started, to find motivation, or to finish it?
You know, a little bit every day seems to do it, and then some days you work a little bit more because you're like, man, this is good. Let's keep going. Or you realize now, okay, I'm crossing out that whole page and starting something new.
Duncan, what was the process like?
Figuring out how I was going to get the women to get the frames that I wanted. And so there's so many artists in the company that get overlooked a lot. And one of the great things about being in the corps and also being a company teacher is that I really get to know what my friends are capable of.
I don't get to spend a lot of time with the Corps de Ballet, and I'm so isolated a lot of the time. So it was so amazing to be able to see each individual and their incredible artistry that you brought out of them. Zhongjing, what was this process like for you? You know, was it difficult to get started and find motivation? I know you're always inspired. So what was this like for you?
Whole entire process, that not only to be a choreographer, but for the very first time to be a director, but on Zoom meetings. So it was hard to figure out which angle I want the most.
I mean, you took on a lot, ZJ. You had a really big cast.
We only filmed one section at a time. It felt like a whole group piece, and very rewarding to watch that. Yeah.
It really did. It was amazing. I mean, all of you, I'm just really proud of all of you, and I can't wait to see what's to come. Alex Hammoudi, Eric Tamm, Duncan Lyle, and Zhongjing Fang. This has been such an amazing night. These artists and dancers have put together incredible, moving stories. We can't wait to share the rest of them with you. Tune back in tomorrow to see 4 more amazing pieces move through the screen. Have a good night, and we will see you tomorrow. Thank you.